In this video, we'll talk about function notation. We know a function is a relation that maps an input to exactly one output. So we will map an x, usually it's an x, maps to a y. And sometimes in order to show it as function, we call y f of x. So we can say we map x, which is the input, to its output, f of x. So for a function f, say my input is 3, then 3 is mapped to its output. We can call it f of 3. So what is f of 3? That is the y value when x is equal to 3. So f of x and y here, they're exactly the same thing. Say we're given this problem. For fx equals negative 3x squared plus 5. What is f of negative 2? Here we're looking for the y value when x is equal to negative 2. That's what this is. So when x is equal to negative 2, you have to plug in negative 2 for x. You have negative 3 times negative 2 squared plus 5. That is negative 3 times, you do the exponent part first. Negative 2 squared is 4 plus 5, and then do this part. That's negative 12 plus 5, which is negative 7. And the answer here is negative 7. What if what you're given is a graph like this, and they're looking for example, I'm asking you what is f of 1 and what is the f of negative 2. All right, so f of 1 is asking you for the y value when x is equal to 1. So if you look at the graph, when x, this is the x value, when x is equal to 1, it corresponds to this point. So this point is 1, negative 3. So that means when your x is equal to 1, your y is negative 3. So f of 1 here is negative 3 because the value of 1 is mapped to the output of negative 3. Okay, similarly, if I'm looking for what is f of negative 2, I'm looking for the y value when x is equal to negative 2. So if you look at the graph, when x equals negative 2, I'm talking about, this is when x equals negative 2, and I'm talking about this point on the graph. So this point is negative 2, 0. So when x is negative 2, it's mapped to the y value of 0. So that means f of negative 2 is equal to 0. So on your own, I want you to work on these two problems. So pause the video and try to answer those two questions. And I will review the answer in 3, 2, 1 second. Now here we go. F of 0 when the input, this is the input, when the input is 0, well, what is the output? Well, when x is equal to 0, well, we have found this point on the graph. This point is 0, 0. So when x is 0, your y is also 0. So f of 0 is 0 because it maps the input of 0 to its output of 0. Similarly, for f of negative 1, when x equals negative 1, it corresponds to this point on the graph. So that point is negative 1, 3. So when x is negative 1, it maps to the output of 3. So that's 3 input here, output over here. And this is the end of this video. I hope you find it helpful, and I will see you in the next video.